My name is Carolina Robinson. I'm the Director of Education Abroad here at UA. Thank you so much for being with us today. I have the pleasure of introducing Chad Berry. He is our Associate Director in the office over International Health, Safety, and Risk Management. Just to give you a little heads up, this presentation will be recorded for those students who weren't able to come and join us live. But I will go ahead and let Chad go ahead.
Great, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with everyone today. I'm going to talk to you about a very important topic, which is health and safety abroad. And as Carolina mentioned, my name is Chad Berry. I am Associate Director for International Health, Safety, and Risk Management. So thank you for joining us as we're making history today with the first ever virtual study abroad showcase here at UA. So this is exciting. Just to kind of go over what we'll talk about over the next few minutes. First of all, there'll be a brief introduction where I kind of talk about sort of our priority as the Education Abroad Office and as the University of Alabama in regards to keeping students safe abroad. I'll then go over some of the UA travel policies and requirements that students or faculty and staff who travel abroad for a university related purpose have to go through. I'll talk about some of the stuff we do pre-trip for students and faculty regarding registrations or insurance or orientations, things of that nature. And then I will talk about things that might happen during the trip, so resources that we can get to people who are students who are abroad, or our crisis response protocol, some of that if a situation were to arise. And then I'm going to talk about the, I guess, the elephant in the room for us all in 2020, which is COVID-19, and how that has impacted us, and how that, some things we're thinking about in regards to planning for the future as we hope to resume travel soon. You see over here on the right side of the screen, Carolina has introduced herself, but in terms of international health and safety and risk management here at UA, it's not just all on me. It's really a team effort, and Carolina, as Director of Education Abroad, is very involved with that. And there are other UA offices involved, which include the Risk Management Office, Student Life, and of course our legal department. So it is a team effort in regards to keeping our students safe abroad. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so first of all, the UA travel policy, or policies, I might say, and the requirements. First of all, any student studying abroad for academic credit, or if you're traveling abroad for another university affiliated purpose, such as maybe a student organization or athletics or internships, things of that nature, students are required to apply through our office. And that application can be found there at the website studyabroad.ua.edu. And for study abroad students, that could be based on your program, your specific program application. For other students, there's a travel registration that we ask students to do. So that's one requirement that is part of our policies. Another one is that all students who are studying abroad or traveling abroad for a UA affiliate purpose will be registered in UA's international insurance. I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes, but that is also another requirement, is that you are covered under our international insurance policy. And then our travel policy in general here at UA prohibits travel to countries with the following advisory levels. And those would be the CDC's level 3, which equates to avoiding non-essential travel, is how they refer to that as. And then Department of State, which has 4 different levels, and levels 3 and 4 would be levels that we would generally prohibit travel from UA. And those levels would be reconsidered travel or do not travel. So those are some of the policies that kind of begin to guide our approach towards students and studying abroad. Yeah. And now regarding kind of our pre-departure orientation, I do want to say here, our number one priority in regards to study abroad students, we want them to have transformative international experiences. We really believe that the opportunity to travel abroad and study abroad can really be life-changing for students. And we want them to have that experience, and we want to facilitate that experience as much as we can. But of course, we want them to be able to do it safely and not be at risk as much as we can help. So this one, anyone listening to know, that is really our heart, our philosophy, and our priority is student safety. We want to see everybody return home safely. And so one of the things we do before the trip leaves is the pre-departure orientation, which is a requirement for study abroad students. And this orientation is offered several times throughout the semester before the program begins. So for students who may study abroad in the spring, the pre-departure orientation would be offered several times throughout the fall semester, usually starting in October and going all the way up to finals week. For students who study abroad in the summer or fall, then the pre-departure orientation be offered throughout the spring semester. So hopefully students could find a time that would work with their schedule, since it is offered multiple times. But that orientation will cover a variety of topics. Some are very much health and safety, risk management related. So we did health, safety, insurance, our crisis and emergency response. We talk about culture shock. And then we also talk about academics and planning and logistics and much more. But it is a really, we think, important and useful time for our students to get a lot of good information that'll hopefully help them have a good experience and stay safe. During the orientation, we also talk about the student handbook, which is about a 60-page document that goes into great detail about some of these topics I just mentioned. One of the things in the handbook, you'll see this image on the right side of the page, this personal emergency action plan. And that's something we address within the orientation. We ask every student to turn that page and look it over. And you'll notice in this plan, there's a variety of blanks to fill in, and those are going to be very specific to where the student is going. And so we ask students to be thinking through and find out the information before they even go abroad so that they have it there ready should they need it, so that they're not having to think about or find the local hospital number or the equivalent of 911 in that country in the midst of an emergency. If they've already done that work beforehand, then they could just turn and have the information available. So that's just an example of one thing we do during our orientation, and also that's available in the handbook. And all this information, the orientation, the handbook, and different pieces of the orientation would all be available to the student in their application after they attend the orientation. So they can refer to it later, even while they're abroad. If something that came to mind they wanted to look back up, they could go back into their UA study abroad application and find that information. And so that's part of our orientation for students. We also have really kind of orientation for faculty as well. Faculty-led program directors, we take them through some risk management training. We have about 50 or 60 of these faculty-led programs that go every year. And so we spend some time with our faculty kind of training them on some of these crisis response procedures, or how to use the insurance, or how to help students work through a variety of different issues so that they're prepared to lead students abroad and be kind of the on-the-ground help for students should they need it. Another thing we do for students prior to leaving, for our faculty-led students in particular, we enroll them in the STEP program, which stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. This is a State Department program. And what this does is it notifies the nearest U.S. embassy in the location you're going to that you are a U.S. citizen and you are there. And if something happens, or if they need to get a hold of the U.S. citizens in that place, then they have your information and can do so. This did actually become pretty important back in the spring when the COVID-19 situation hit, and there were students trying to leave countries and travel shut down kind of suddenly in some places. The U.S. Embassy began, in many locations, began to arrange sort of chartered flights for U.S. citizens from that country. And if that citizen was enrolled in STEP, then they would be getting these notifications about ways that they could return home. And so it is an important thing, and we enroll all of our faculty-led students automatically in it, and we ask that our other students who are going abroad on other study abroad programs also register in that, so they have that support as well. Another thing that happens kind of prior to the trip, and of course is available throughout the trip, is our international insurance. And this is a requirement for study abroad students. and other students who are going abroad on a university affiliated purpose. It is billed to the student's account. If it's a study abroad program, it's usually tied into your course registration. But some people sometimes ask, why do I need the international insurance? I already have insurance here in the US. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one is for the university's purposes, it would be really hard to keep up with everybody's individual insurance policies. And so having one international insurance policy for all of our students helps us to know exactly what is covered and what, how to use it. And so it kind of simplifies things a little bit, but also is really tailored towards international travel and higher education travel abroad. So it's really good insurance. And I've highlighted a few of the coverage highlights there. So it's $250,000 per accident or sickness. That's not just overall, that's per incident. So if a student had a really unlucky program where they broke a leg one week and broke an arm the next week, then each one of those would be covered up to $250,000 with a $0 deductible. And so that's good. And then there's also mental health coverage. So there's on-call counselors and other kind of mental health coverages that are included in the insurance, which is really important. And then we also have some emergency and security evacuation. And this can be triggered if a student experiences some kind of medical emergency or there is some kind of security situation in the location they are in. If the International SOS and the insurance company, they agree that this is an evacuation situation, then that evacuation could be covered under the policy. That is important too, because those can be really expensive otherwise. And then the medical or union coverage, which is a good coverage. We've seen this used a few times where a student maybe they had a longer hospital stay for some reason, but the medical or union coverage would fly a family member to their side to be with them during that time. And it would cover a lot of their expenses that they would incur, such as flight and even some hotel expenses for the family member to reunite with their student while abroad. So it's really good insurance coverage, and it is a requirement, as I mentioned, for our students. That coverage is administered by International SOS, which is the International Travel Assistance Company that we partner with here at UA. And they offer a lot of resources. I'm gonna talk more about them in just a minute, but as part of the insurance coverage and as part of the support they give, we encourage students, really ask students to download their app, which is available in all the major app stores. If you download the app and use the UA membership number to access the information, all of a sudden you have lots of resources that'll be at your fingertips. And you can dial for assistance from the app directly, just push a button and get a hold of somebody that can help you in an emergency situation. There's also this number you can dial, this 24/7 assistance number you see there on the screen, which also would put you in touch with somebody with International SOS. And so a little more about International SOS. They're not just about insurance. There's other information and resources that they help students with. So students, before they leave for a trip, they'll get a pre-trip email with a lot of information and resources about their destination, about the situation there, about medical resources, about things to keep in mind while they're there. If a situation were to occur, maybe there's a natural disaster or something like that in the area where they are in, they would get a location-based alert. So if a student's registered for travel in, say, London, and something happens in London, then International SOS can automatically push out an alert to the student and say, this is happening. You need to avoid this area. You need to take these steps. So that's a way to keep students informed and up to date. There also is a check-in function that we can deploy through International SOS and kind of send out the bat signal, as it were, just saying, hey, are you okay? Are you not okay? And students can just very quickly respond and say yes, no, and let us know if they need assistance or not. And this all, again, just to reemphasize, would really work best if students have the app in order to respond to any messages or alerts that we send out. There is our website, International SOS, and with the UA membership number that's applied to all the study abroad students who go abroad, they'll be able to access, kind of log into the portal, International SOS, and get a lot more information as well. Um, Other information, other resources that we can give students, and these are resources for us as well in terms of the university and things that we look at for information and advice. But a couple of the ones that we've been using a lot lately are the U.S. Department of State's travel advisories, and they also have country information for each country. Has lots of advice, information about what the situation is in a particular location, steps that U.S. citizens should take, things they should be aware of. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, so the CDC, we've heard a lot about lately with COVID-19. They're another resource we look at. The World Health Organization being another one. IATA, the International Air Transport Association, they have a lot of information regarding air travel and what the restrictions are maybe to enter different countries, which again can be really important right now. NAFSA is the kind of the organization that sort of establishes best practices for study abroad and international education overall. It's a vast organization, global organization. They help us establish a lot of standards in regards to care for students abroad, along with the formal education abroad as well. Have a similar kind of standards that we try to meet and staying in step with what our field requires. And then here at UA, we have the International Travel Advisory Committee, and we will review, certain special requests, and we also kind of keep abreast of what's going on in the world and where students can travel, where they can't, what measures should be taken. And so these are all the resources that are available as well to students, and that kind of go into the information gathering as we make decisions and as we advise students. All right, so during the trip, if something were to happen, and this could be a crisis of many different kinds. It could be a personal sort of crisis or a personal situation. Again, maybe students is sick, but they need medical attention. Or maybe it's a more serious medical issue. Maybe it is something beyond individual. Maybe it's something that impacting a lot of people or a lot of students. So like a natural disaster or a terrorist attack or COVID-19 or other pandemic. These are all different types of crises that we have dealt with in the study abroad field. And each crisis sort of will require a different response. Is it one person I'm helping? Is it a minor issue? How serious is it? What's the timing? How quickly they need help? What resources do we have there? And so kind of tailoring our response based on the type of crisis it is. There's also a little bit of a difference in regards to faculty-led programs and third-party programs. And third-party would be affiliates and exchange programs or non-affiliate or direct enroll programs. With our faculty-led programs led by UA professors, taking groups of UA students, taking UA courses, we'd be very hands-on with that response in any kind of crisis situation, because we are basically the primary resources and caregivers in that situation. Of course, we have trained our faculty, hopefully, to respond well in different crises. But we also, as Education Abroad, are going to be very involved with any kind of help the student may need in that situation. With the third-party program, we would be potentially very involved there as well, as much as needed. Sometimes situations, if the affiliates are all going to have, in exchange, non-affiliate, they're all going to have people on the ground there with the students. And so we have vetted these programs and they all meet our standards in terms of care. And so if the affiliate is able to handle the situation, then they may be the primary ones handling the situation, but we also would be involved at some point usually to make sure the student feels supported and has everything they need and knows how to use our insurance and has any other kind of resources that you might need to be connected to. Our general response procedure would follow these steps you see there, the 1 through 5. Number 1, of course, is this ensuring safety. Is, if something happens, are you okay? Are you safe right now? Do you need to get you to a safe place? Do you need to get you to a hospital? 2 would be obtain information. And of course, all these sometimes will happen almost simultaneously. So obtaining the details about what has happened, where it's happened, so that we can then make decisions about the course of action. Alerting stakeholders, and those could be, of course, within the university here, could be other offices on campus, the risk management office I mentioned earlier, or the legal office, the president's office sometimes gets involved. It could be a variety of different people. And then coordinating support. So again, whether it's a faculty-led program or a third-party program, that level of coordination might vary, but we would be there to make sure the student is taken care of, and whatever means of support we can provide. And then maintaining communication throughout. And that sort of leads to this last point over here on the right in the second column, which if something were to happen, if it was a faculty-led program, then we would probably immediately reach out to the faculty member and ask, get some information from them about what is going on and because they're going to be the ones that has, kind of the on the ground, in-person contact information. In either case, we probably then send an email to the student and say, this is what is going on, this is what we've heard is going on. Please respond and let us know if you're okay, or if you're not okay, or what kind of assistance you might need. We'd also probably push out a notification through our International SOS app, and that check-in function I was talking about earlier, saying please check in to say you're okay, or that you're not okay. And then we can respond accordingly. We also have a Bama Abroad Facebook group that we ask students to sign up for during our pre-departure orientation. And one of the things that we can do through there is kind of, again, a check-in. We can send out a message on that group. It's a private group, but if you've been admitted, then you'll see the message, and we can send out the message, and then you could like it to say you're okay, or respond otherwise. And there are third-party contacts. So if it was a affiliate or exchange program, then we'd probably be in close contact with them too about what's going on and how we can help the student. So it's sort of a multi-pronged approach in regards to communication if a situation were to arise, so we can provide all the help we can. All right, and so one of the last things I wanted to mention again is the issue that has impacted all of us this year in some major ways, which is COVID-19. And I would say kind of we were on the forefront of the impact. We began dealing with COVID-19 issues as far back as late January. And then at first it was sort of isolated. It seemed to be isolated in one area of the world, but of course quickly it spread and soon impacted all of our spring students to the degree that right before spring break, all of our UA faculty-led spring break programs had to be canceled. Many of our other spring semester programs, we had to bring students back from various programs and around the world. So that was a very crazy time. Summer 2020, all of our UA faculty-led program, study abroad programs were canceled. And now we're looking at 2021. So thinking and planning about that. And we have programs that are hopefully going to try to go in the spring. And we have a lot of programs trying to go in the summer. And right now you'll see it says they're TBD. So there are no guarantees, as we found out this year. And we sure hope that we will see a resumption of travel, but that it is going to be based on sort of a review process for each program based on the location and the factors that are present there. And these are some of the factors you see listed that we are looking at and considering as we make decisions about particular programs. The first one, of course, is the UA system has to allow international travel by UA students, faculty, and staff. As I speak right now, that travel is not allowed for UA faculty-led programs. But if the situation improves, hopefully, then hopefully, faculty-led travel will be allowed again soon. That'd be one hurdle. And then the country location of that particular program allowing U.S. citizens to enter would be another factor we have to consider. And then sort of tied with that, what are the requirements? What are the entry requirements and restrictions? Do students have to quarantine for 2 weeks? Do they have to be test negative for COVID-19 on site, or have to bring evidence of a recent negative test? There are different requirements and restrictions based on the location. So those would be something we're going to look at. Is the local institution or the university or provider allowing U.S. students to attend? It would be another factor in our decision. Is airline travel readily available to and from the program location? What's the local medical access and support for students? Because we don't want to send students to a place where if they were to get sick, they wouldn't have the medical support they might need. And then kind of given these factors, what kind of quality of study abroad experience can we give to students in that location, and will it meet our standards? And then what's the current state of COVID-19 in that location? So these are all factors that we're looking at as we determine the future of our 2021 programs. We sure hope that that we're able to answer these in the affirmative, and students are able to go abroad, even if some adjustments have to be made, which is possible. We are hopeful that we can still send students abroad, but we will let people know, let students know as soon as decisions are made, and go from there. And that is a kind of a broad overview of the things that we do to try to keep students safe and give them a healthy and productive experience while studying abroad or going abroad as a UA student. And with that, I am open for questions.
Thank you so much, Chad, for all of that. Again, if you have some questions to ask, please go ahead and unmute yourself. And if not, or throw something in the chat, we're happy to answer a few questions in this last couple minutes of the session. Okay, I think I might have somebody who might be unmuting themselves, so I'll go ahead and.
Sure.
I'm not sure if audio is coming in, so if you want to throw your question in the chat, you can definitely do so. And for others, Chad's email is located there. And so if you have any questions, you can just send him directly an email. Thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.